Space Dandy Season 2, Episode 4, The Transfer Student is Dandy, baby. Now, last week when I found out that we were getting, a high school episode where Dandy was going to transfer into a school for whatever random reason, the last thing I expected was for this episode to be like the Dandy musical episode because it just didn't seem like that's what it was going to be about. And also, it really surprised me because as crazy as anime gets, I can't ever remember a time where an anime had a musical episode, and this one wasn't like a typical musical episode like an American TV show would have, where everything is just sung about. But they did have a song in the beginning and in the end, and it counts as their musical episode as far as I'm concerned, at least. But it really caught me off guard because, like I said, anime doesn't really have musical episodes because, typically speaking, anime don't go on for years and years. We got a couple like the big, really big anime like Naruto, One Piece, and Dragon Ball Z and stuff like that. But typically, anime is like here like 24 episodes or something. Some shows will get second seasons and things like that if they are really popular. But it's like here's the story condensed into 12 little episodes or like 23 or 24 little episodes. They don't spend time doing silly stuff like, hey, let's just throw in a musical episode like American TV shows do when they last for a really long time, particularly sitcom shows, which Dandy, I guess, does kind of fit into that space because it's clearly a comedy based anime. But it was definitely a great episode. I thought it was really funny. I didn't really enjoy the songs, to be honest. The first song that they started off with, it really caught my attention because they started singing, but I didn't really enjoy it or anything because the song I didn't. It was like five songs put into one to begin with, but I didn't really like any specific part of the song. It didn't really catch my attention at all. The ending song was okay, Viva Viva All or whatever. But the best song that was in there is the beginning to Viva Viva All, which is the girl singing by herself because there's really no music or anything. It was just the actress who was doing that part just singing, and it sounded great. And also, it looked amazing. That was definitely my favorite scene because they did the animation like insanely well because it was just her, and they had like the spotlight on her and stuff. So that was really cool. But that I enjoyed that song more than anything else, and there were just a ton of funny moments, and there were so many references in this episode. I had to put them like all in my phone because I couldn't remember every last one just off the top of my head. But this episode had the most references we've seen in the series so far. It's had the second episode, or the second most references was actually in the series premiere, and they did a lot of stuff. They had like Terminator and things like that with some of the movements they did. But this episode had so many freaking references. It was ridiculous. Like in the very beginning, they mentioned the name of the hill is like Beverly Hills High School. So Meow says like it's just a bunch of rich kids dating each other, but it would probably make a good TV show. And that was a reference to Beverly Hills 90210. I would assume, I never watched it, but I would assume that that's what that show is about. So they made a reference to that. They had a reference to E.T. because one of like the strong characters, like the only one who wasn't, it didn't look exactly the same. He looked just like E.T. They had a reference to Ghostbusters because they had slime in there, and he kind of flew towards the screen, kind of like in Ghostbusters. They had a Pretty in Pink reference when Dandy was talking to the girl. He said Pretty in Purple. That was a reference to the film, and she was also dressed like one of the characters from the movie Pretty in Pink. They had a reference. I already mentioned E.T. Princess Bride. When Dandy was basically going up to the ugly girl, and he wanted to take her to the prom, and her friend said it's inconceivable. I have to assume that was a reference to Princess Bride. They did Dirty Dancing like right after that when he said nobody puts Dandy in a corner. The montage scene was either Rocky or Karate Kid or just like a bunch of training montage things put together. Because them running on the beach, I thought it was Rocky in the beginning, but they also did do that in Karate Kid, so it could have been that. And it was a lot more martial arts based type of stuff, so it was probably more Karate Kid. But that was a really funny scene. I really loved the song in that. I'm sure a lot of you guys did too. It was really funny at first because it was just like a silly montage of them running and then training and stuff. And then I watched it over again. It was like, aside from it being really funny visually, the song on its own is actually just a pretty catchy song. It's a upbeat, up tempo song, and it was just pretty catchy. So I enjoyed that song. Mentioned Ghostbusters. I mean, Glee they did just before the musical actually started when they mentioned how the school has it's based your ranking is based off of how well you can sing and stuff. Meow said like, oh, the glee he must be feeling, reference to Glee. Uh, I mentioned Beverly Hills, Hulk at the end of the episode when the three guys combined to each other. Gremlins when Danny was cheating on the test, which I love that scene too. I thought that was really funny just because I love what he said when they started the test. He was like, "This test ain't the boss of me," and then he was like, "There's a gremlin." Just the way he said it was funny too. After that, they referenced The Fly. They had a guy, the teacher was a fly, and the machines looked just like they did in the movie. During the test, Dandy said "Boom Shakalaka," which technically doesn't have to be a reference to anything, but I play NBA Jam, so people who know that probably thought of NBA Jam, so it might have been a reference. It could have just been him saying that because it's a funny thing to have a character say. Um, I'm not sure about the suit at the end of the episode. I know it references a movie. I just don't know what movie. I put like maybe Boogie Nights. I really don't know what movie it was, but I know it references some movie. And the orange dog, I don't know 100%, but I feel like that had to have been a reference too, just because they put it on the dog for so long at the end of the episode, and it was in other parts when the teacher was holding on to it, but it didn't, like, just that scene made me think it was probably referenced to something else. I just don't know what it was, but there are probably other references that I missed as well, like the one plant creature that kind of spit on Dandy may have been a reference to something. The first girl he asked out, actually, he said, "Can you dig it?" Which everyone references that from the Warriors film from 1989. So that was probably a reference to the Warriors as well. But overall, even without the references, although I love them, I guess because I'm so nerdy, I got most of the references, which is probably a shame. But I did enjoy this episode. Like I said, I didn't really love the musical parts or anything. The end song I enjoyed. I actually like QT's part when he just jumped in. I thought his part was interesting. I guess like the two other guys, the first one he kind of had like a piano thing with his song, so I kind of enjoyed the sound of that. Like I said, QT's actually sounded good, probably because it was like the robot, so it was almost that auto tune thing. And they could just make it sound nice. But definitely my favorite part was the ugly girl singing, and I did love Dandy falling for the girl because she had a nice butt. I thought that was funny. Like when they were doing the sumo training, hitting the tree, and he stopped and he noticed, and they started showing her butt, and it was like, well, you knew where that was going, but that was really funny. When he first met her, it was hilarious the face he made, and then like his eyes just got tiny, and then he was like, "Oh, I get it. You're one of those girls who's like secret hot," and then her eyes were like the little kissy signs. And he was like, when you go home, you should smack your parents. I thought that was just unbelievably rude, but hilarious for him to say. But overall, I definitely love this episode. I can't wait for the next one. It's gonna be one of those ones where it's a completely different animation. So all those episodes always seem to really interest me because whenever they change the animation, it always seems to have some sort of weird story to it. So, and this one's like him trying to catch this great big fish or whatever. So like the legendary catch type of thing. So I'm excited for that. Love this episode. Comment below. Let me know what you guys thought of it. Your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And if there are any references that I missed, of course, put those down below. And thanks for watching.